Hey guys, welcome back. I quickly wanted to show you something. I quickly have to say that I'm not sponsored by this, though you can be sponsored, I saw, but only if you have like 10,000 subscribers. So that's not the point, but I really like this software. It's Untapped GG, which I know from my Magic the Gathering Arena days, which is just like a Hearthstone replay, for example, a software that you can download and that tracks, I can quickly show you this, it tracks your games. Okay, this is somehow okay, give me a second, my statistics on Master Duel, obviously not on Magic. And you can see you can track your deck's win rate, which is like not the like greatest thing. You can obviously just track it by yourself, but what this means is that this is just like the Master Duel part of the Untapped GG is pretty new. So as you can see, it's like you can download the tracker and you have a tier list, and then you can check decks. So you can, for example, check decks on here, deck lists. You could also check that on Master Duel Meta, of course. Purely Exorcist, you can then copy the deck, and it also shows you if you have all the crafting points, if it's connected with your Master Duel account, that is. Shows you all the crafting points and that stuff. What you cannot see here is the win rate, and you can see how many like matches were played with this deck. So up until right now, it was not that interesting, but in the last few days, there was a really cool thing added here, and that is tier list. Or tier liste, as it is translated here into German. And you can see a tier list here. And obviously, this is a really good tier list because it is built on the data that people have gotten through the games that they really play on the ladder. So you download the software, and then, as you have seen in my statistics, the software basically tracks your games and obviously also tracks your win rate. What we do not have here, or at least this does not show us that, are the win rates against specific decks, right? So we can quickly, just so you understand what this could look like, as you can see here on HS Replay, which is the Hearthstone tracker. Here's also an advertisement for the Master Duel Untapped GG thing. But this is what this could look like, right? Here are all the Hearthstone decks. You can see how many matches were played. You can see how long the matches were. You can see the win rates here. But what you can also see, so before I have played a lot of Hearthstone, and I sometimes still do, you can see a lot of things. You can see how often this deck is played. You can see how the win rate changes over time. But you can also see like the mulligan win rate, which means how likely are you to win if you keep this card in your opening hand. So if you don't know, in Hearthstone, you can change your opening hand. You can send back all the 3 or 4, depending on whether you go first or second cards, and then you can see there's a lot of statistics here, which is drawn win rate. It shows you how likely you are to win if you draw this card, if you play this card, how many turns normally the cards get held, when it gets played, in which turn, and you can also see if you go for the premium version here, you can also see, as you can see, I cannot do this right now. You can see how good is the win rate if you go first, if you go second. And then you can also filter by the area, if you are in Legends rank, if you're in Diamonds rank. And you can also look at the win rate against specific other deck types, right? So a lot of data right here, which on the one hand is really, really cool because you can just like look for the deck that you want to play, and you can check whether it has good win rates. And you can also, if you, for example, face on the ladder a specific deck a lot, you can then look at what this deck is bad against, and you can play this deck. So this is, I think, what we are like developing into here, but this is very bare bone at the moment. But now there is this new feature, tiers, right? Tier list. So as we can see right here, we have showing 40 archetypes, and we can read the following. Tiers are based on win rate. Archetypes are ordered by popularity within one tier. So as you can see, Vanquished Soul is here on top of the A tier, and then there's Sword Soul and Trap Tricks, which I'm very surprised by that these decks are up here when Mathmech, Kashtira, Labyrinth, and Purely, also Drangling, for example, are down here. So don't get confused by how these are ordered in the tier, because this says archetypes are ordered by popularity within one tier. So Vanquished Soul is only on top because it has a 10% representation. So it could also be the case that Trap Tricks has a better win rate than Vanquished Soul, but these decks seems to have the best win rates of all of them, right? Because tiers are based on win rates. So in the A tier, they are the decks with the most win rates. So Sword Soul, Trap Tricks, and Vanquished Soul seems to have the most win rates. And then you can also see here we have 1,600 decks, so 1,600 different variants of Vanquished Soul that have been recorded through the software, basically, that you can also go look at here. And At the first look, this might look a bit like low, like 160 matches. That's not a lot, but when we look up here, we have 14,000 matches. So the win rates that are calculated in this software here are based on 14,000 matches, and 14,000 matches, that's quite a lot. We can also search for a Sword Soul. So of course, if, for example, the deck had only like 100 games in this software, and they would say, oh, this is the deck with the best win rate, then it could like still be random, right? Because playing 100 games, you could just get lucky and then have a good win rate, but it would not be very representative of the deck. You need higher numbers in order for this to be statistically significant, so, or significant at all, so that it means something, basically. You can see here, so we have 5,000 matches, which is also quite a lot. And then with Trap Tricks, we also have, let's check, it should be way less, 2,000 matches, but this is still enough if, like, overall of these 270 decks, it's still enough to say, okay, Trap Tricks in general has a good win rate. Obviously, it's not enough to say this Trap Tricks deck with the 88 matches is way better than this Trap Tricks deck with the 69 matches, because that's just way too little games recorded for the decks. But you can definitely make an argument, or make a how do you say it, Aussage, you can say for this deck that in general this deck has a high win rate. And this is quite interesting, because this is basically one of the only places where you can find these statistics. Obviously, we now have the new feature in-game, that in-game we are shown some win rates, but they don't show us every win rate. I think for Vanquish, for example, there are no win rates in the game. I think for Kashtira also. So they are showing us some specific win rates, but not all of them. And now we have like a definite tier list that are really based on games that people have played in the game. But the thing that you have to keep in mind is, obviously, is because this is pretty bare bone, we do not know, for example, how many games, let's say for Vanquish Soul were played in, I don't know, Master 1, because Master 1 obviously is a place where people just give up the game if they don't go first, because, yeah, you can't lose anything. So I think Master 1, or people that are in Master 1 definitely will like put some errors in this data, because Master 1 is just not a good example of a deck being good or not. So that's something that also is in these data points here, obviously. But other than that, this is pretty cool if you ask me, and obviously this software will also develop even further. And I don't know, if you like this, you can just go here and download this for free, and then you can also track your statistics, for example, and just have a better insight about how your games are going and which decks do work for you. And you can also basically support this software, and then we all have a better understanding of which decks are good and which decks are bad. As you can see, there I have not looked at all of this, so let's quickly scroll down here. Okay, these are decks with too low of a representation to basically like categorize them here. As you can see, Numeron, Chaos Dragon. So these decks are not played enough so that you can like really say something about them, right? But we know, for example, Adignista is really strong and has a really good win rate. And you can see down here, Spiral, Dark Magician, Blue Eyes, Hero. So this also seems to like be correct, because these decks would also be the decks that we would categorize pretty low. You can also see Runic. This surprised me a bit, but Rescue Ace with the current archetype cards is not that strong. Blackwing, Galaxy Ice Photon, Ninja, Furhire, Runic. Okay, I would have placed this a bit higher, but seems to be the case that it's more down here. And then you can see in the B tier stuff like the B tier is pretty big. Makes sense, right? Stuff like Sprite, Floundery, Sky Striker. Though this is the one thing I have to critique a bit. I think the B tier is not as reliable as, for example, the A tier, because in the A tier there are only 3 decks, and in the B tier there are a lot of decks that are only sorted by popularity. So we cannot really say Mikanko is way better than Exosister is, because we don't have the specific win rate for the decks. We only have the popularity, and for example, we do not know if Mefmec has a higher win rate than Sprite, which is down at the bottom here, because this is only sorted by popularity, right? So obviously, this is still in the Kinderschuhe, as we say in Germany, so it's still in the beginning. But as an example here in the A tier, we can definitely see that, for example, Vanquish Soul, Sword Soul, and Trap Tricks seem to be the decks that are performing the best, and this is quite surprising if you ask me. Not Vanquish Soul that much, but Sword Soul and especially Traptrix, I would not have guessed that, because Traptrix, even in the CCG, did not have the best win rates over time. So really surprising, but you can also, as you can see here, go to the current meta and then the meta before that. I think there is something here. Okay, I wanted to say there is none here because this whole tier list concept is pretty new, but there seems to be data for the format before, and you can see Traptrix was also on the top here. Also Scareclaw, really surprising, and Punk. Mathmech has fallen a bit down. I would definitely have guessed that Purely would be way up here. Sword Soul is also here and has climbed up, as it seems. And here you can see the B and C category we are way bigger. So the C category is way bigger than is the B category. It would be very interesting to know where the breakpoints are. So for example, I don't know, with like 52 win rate, you are going into the C category, and above that it's B. That would be very interesting, but I think over time we will see way more here, as you can quickly check. So untap GG to tap is like a thing with Magic, and you can see how this could develop over time, because obviously in Magic this software is pretty old and pretty established now, and there you can see we have matches, we have averaged game duration, and then we have way more stats here, and you can see the win rates for the specific decks that you can build here. So in the future, if a lot of people use this and this gets established a bit more, this could give us way more interesting data, but for now it's pretty cool that we have a tier list, and I just quickly wanted to share this with you if you're also interested, because I'm a guy that I'm very interested in these data points. I know that there are a lot of people out there that are just playing the game and don't want to know which is the best deck by data, but I think for me this is really interesting, and I always liked this when I played Hearthstone. I always liked this when I played Magic, so I really like this and just wanted to share this with you. But let me know in the comments what you think of this. Do you think this is good for the game? Do you think this might be bad for the game because then everyone is playing the quote-unquote best deck? Let me know what you think. Thanks for being here. If you like my kind of stuff, my kind of content, please consider subscribing, hitting the thumbs up and the notification bell, and we will see each other in the next one.